Hey guys, it's Grimhammer here, and I'm coming at you with another Dreadnought guide today. So let's jump right into it. We got the Vigo guide. This is the medium destroyer, so let's see what we got. Alright, so the first build we're looking at today is the offensive gunship build. Now this build is going to have Tempest missiles, Disruptor missile, weapon booster pulse, weapon amplifier, and then for the officer briefings we're going to run Retaliator, Weapons 101, Slow and Steady, and Get on My Good Side. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into a match now using the offensive gunship build. Now, this build is made for high DPS with the Vigo. The Vigo is very, very good as a weapons boat, as a gunship boat, because it has really nice range, it has really good accuracy, a decent rate of fire, and then all around his weapons are just nice. I love the Vigo's primary weapons. So with this build, we're going to be utilizing both the weapon boosters, the weapon amplifier itself, which boosts just your ship, and then weapon booster pulse, which boosts you and all your allies around you. Those two together with power to weapons can do phenomenal damage on the Vigo. And the Vigo being so good as a gunship, it's like one of my favorite builds for it. So also with it, we run Tempest for that extra range. Since the Vigo can accurately hit out to 7k, you want to go ahead and run Tempest with this gunship build, because Tempest also hit out at 7k, and they're nice for a little burst of damage while you're hitting a target from afar. And then we run Disruptor for the fact that Disruptor can turn off auto, armor amps, and it can turn off all these effects. And Disruptor's always just a great go-to secondary missile. So with this build, you kind of want to play your range. I personally like to just stick with my team. Like those guys that are in a ball, they're moving up. You got the Dread, and you got a couple of healers with them, or a couple of destroyers. Just stick with those guys. Your weapon boost, you're just every time you boost yourself to go ahead and start doing some hardcore damage, you're boosting everybody around you as well, which is it's great. It's good support. You can get offensive support experience for it, which is good points right there. On top of the fact that when you're weapon boosting like that, you're boosting your healer's healing output. So not only are you benefiting yourself for your extra damage, so you can put more damage down range, you're also increasing the healing power and the healing output of your teammates that are in this ball with you, which alone itself is a very great thing to have, because if you got a solo healer, his healing is going to be just way higher than it would normally, and it gives your team a better chance to stay alive during these balled up engagements. So it's definitely something that you want to keep in mind when you are weapon boosting, so you don't stick too far away from them, and you stay within that cone of effect. So basically with this build, you want to just keep putting down damage down range. It's mostly you're going to be using your weapons, and that's why we run it like the officer briefing weapons 101. You're going to get increased damage out of your standard weapons on top of all the weapon boosting you're doing with power to weapons. It's a lot of damage output. Retaliator, because you are playing your range, and if you start getting shot at, you get picked at by RDs or other enemies. It's increasing. It's just decreasing your cooldowns, which is always great to have. Slow and Steady, so for a little added damage resistance. You're kind of sticking your range. You don't need to be fast, and it gives you a little bit of extra armor. Get on a good side is always great, because for destroyers, it's going to give them a little bit of energy while they're getting shot from the sides, which you're just kind of making your way around the map in a circle more or less, so you might as well just get some kind of benefit out of it. And so honestly, that's the best way to really just utilize the effectiveness of the Vigo. So as you're going to see in this match here, it pretty much just I kind of stuck with my team as we moved around closer to the end. I kind of moved a little away from them, but it's just utilizing the all-around effectiveness of the Vigo's guns during this fight, and just putting pressure on everything. As with most things, you kind of, everybody has their own shot selection. Like people prefer prioritizing targets over other targets. Me preferably in like this build, this gunship build, I like to prioritize healers. You can do just tremendous damage output with this build, so I stick to shooting the soft targets. As always, I usually stick to shooting soft targets. I like to hit healers. I like to hit other destroyers. And arties when I could actually land some good shots on them. When they're at a range, arties can be a bit of a pain because of emergency, evasive maneuvers and such like that. But mostly, you just gotta kind of, pick your range, and keep up the constant fire, because that's kind of important for how the build works. So let's go ahead and take a look at the in-match screen here. 8 kills, good weapon damage, and all around it's just playing the support role, man. You're just kind of sticking around with your team, and you're just putting weapons fire on everything that you can. Anything that you can put a lot of damage into and a quick burst down is nice. And just kind of stick with your team, man. It's a really useful gunboat to have on your side. So you're constantly the weapon boosting and everything else, constantly taking advantage of that and keeping your team boosted as you move up and just pump damage into enemies. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the backline fire support build. So for this build we're going to run missile repeaters, disruptor missile, weapon booster pulse, and stasis ammo. And then for the officer briefings we're going to kind of keep them the same as the gunship build. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and jump into a match using the backline fire support build. Now with this build, as you notice, there is stasis ammo in the 4th slot. Now this build is made to basically stick with your group. Stick with your heal ball, keep your healers protected, keep your your backliners protected, keep your your arties and stuff protected. And so in this gameplay that I'm showing here, you're gonna see a lot of use of the stasis ammo. Like right here, we get this Corvette, we're locking them down, so my team can just go ahead and melt them out. And then with the remaining shots, I go ahead and lock down a healer and keep him from getting into cover. So that's the great part about stasis ammo. Stasis ammo is stasis at long range without stasis missiles or something like an arty has. So you can basically put shot stasis onto a target and lock them down, so your team can focus fire and that guy has no way of running away, unless they have something like scrubber module or desperate measures kicks in. But stasis is great for this build because, like I said, it's a support build. It's made to support your healers, your arties, people in the back line, to keep away those rammers that are coming in and ramming your healer and burning off. You can stasis that guy before he ever comes in, and you can just put all that, your whole team can put all the DPS on him and just burst them down every time. And he has to just sit there and kind of take it. And the great thing about stasis ammo being a couple of shots is, you throw a couple of shots on that rammer, then next thing you know, his desperate measures kick in, you shoot him a couple more times with stasis and put it right back on him, so your team can just finish him off. He has no chance of getting that ram off, and he's just gonna have to switch ships because he's getting countered, he's getting locked down. And so that's the great thing about stasis. And not just that, like I said, you can people that get out of place, people that overreach or overextend from their position, stasis them, let your group melt them down. That's why you have weapon booster pulse as well, to keep your healers with some boosted heals and to kind of increase the overall damage effectiveness of your group. And then I threw missile repeaters on here because missile repeaters are really nice. Some people mistaken them for like 2 status missiles coming at them. Next thing you know, they burst open, bam, there's a crap load of DPS hitting them, and missile repeaters are really nice for that. Of course, as always, disruptor missile for helping your team deal with armor amp dreads, to shut off some healer auto beams while your team puts damage on them, and pretty much to keep those modules locked down, which is what it's really great for. But yeah, stasis on this build is so nice. And that's why I recommend using it, because it's just a great module for the 4th slot. And the Vigo can utilize it really well because the Vigo is a really great long-range damage dealing destroyer. So stasis being on that build, you can lock people out at like 5k and just drop them before they have a chance to kind of come into your team. And with weapon booster pulse, you're increasing your own damage as well as your team's, and you can focus down a lot of targets in rapid succession like that. Especially with stasis ammo having a decent cooldown and running it with retaliator, you're constantly having stasis ready just in case a Corvette comes in, rammers, etc, etc, which is perfect for this build. And it really showcases here in this video where you've seen a couple of a vet get locked down and a couple of healers, keeping them out of position long enough for the team to take care of them. This is a support build. I mean, you're going to get points off of your offensive support for your weapon booster pulse, and your overall benefit. You're being a helpful tool for the team by locking down targets and keeping them out of position so your team can finish them off. So that's pretty much it for that build. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the end screen here and kind of show you the kind of point spread that you're going to get something on something like this. You're going to get points. I mean, the offensive support alone, while your team's killing, while your weapon booster's up, is just going to get you a good chunk of points. And stasis alone is it's going to lock down targets for you to just kind of finish them off quick. So as you see here, 10 kills, decent destroyer damage. And I mean, that's really the focus of the build, is the support of it. The stasis ammo with the weapon booster support, disruptor to kind of, you know, get rid of those pesky modules that your team is having trouble against, keeping the Jutland from warping in on your heal ball kind of stuff. And then missile repeaters, when you want to do that added little burst of damage on somebody kind of coming in on your team, or you are trying to push that line up to a further defensive point and such. So it's really great for that. And that's all for the Vigo guide, guys. And thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for the Blood guide, which come next.